Remember the guy named, what's his name? Payton Gendron? This murderous fucking racist who loves Donald Trump. Remember him? He killed 10 of our black brothers and sisters at a Buffalo, New York supermarket. Do you remember when that happened? Back in, 2022? And he was convicted on federal charges and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He pled guilty. But he's now, he also has to deal with state charges, including mass murder. And the toilet rat fucking animal who squats in the White House, I doubt if the beast is going to pardon this one. But his attorneys have petitioned the court saying the charges against him should be dropped in the state court, because the state will probably sentence this clot of human waste to death because of what he did. So his attorneys have said, no. Charges here in the state of New York should be dropped because there weren't enough black people on the jury that indicted him. There weren't enough black people on the jury that indicted him. There's not a day that goes by where I don't come across something that just stuns me, just knocks me back, figuratively speaking, on my feet, on my heels for a couple of minutes. So I think, what? Let me read that again. So this racist killer, this Donald Trump lover, this guy who's inspired to commit mass murder and all kinds of shit because he loves Donald Trump so much, and he knows that Donald Trump wants white fuckers like him to go commit murder against colored folk. So, but now he comes back and says, well, I did what my Lord Christ, God, Jesus, Donald Trump told me to do, but there weren't enough black people that indicted me on the grand jury, so charges should be dismissed. Whoa, Jesus Christ. Now, this Trumper, well, the attorneys for this Trumper argue in their court filing that black and Hispanic people and men are, quote, systematically and significantly underrepresented in the list from which jurors are selected in the Buffalo, New York area, end quote. And then this racist, Trump-loving murderer had his attorneys write this to petition the court, quote, to illustrate this point, the grand jury that indicted Payton Gendron was drawn from a pool from which approximately 1/3 of the black persons expected and 1/3 of the Hispanic Latino persons expected were not made available to the grand jury. Oh, my God. And his lawyers wrote that making the problem worse was that the data sources used by some vendor to pull the list together weren't preserved. The lists weren't preserved. Somebody, I don't know, shredded them, threw them away. What the fuck? And as a result, according to these two attorneys for this mass killer, the killer's legal rights to a grand jury drawn from a fair cross-section of the community were violated, so the charges should be dismissed. Oh, my goddamn fuck. See what I mean? Yeah. Oh, and according to, there's a written response. The U.S. Attorney's Office said the killer didn't prove a systematic underrepresentation that was caused by the district's jury plan, the district in Buffalo. And the response went on to say that any disparities in the racial makeup were within accepted guidance and not caused by the selection process. And the prosecution added this, quote, the defendant is charged with killing 10 black people and injuring 3 other individuals as part of a racially motivated attack on a grocery store. He now demands that the court dismiss the indictment against him because, in his view, the implementation of the Western District of New York jury plan led to the underrepresentation of certain minority groups, including black persons. End quote. Balls? No, this is not. This is an example of the kind of racist bullshit. I mean, even the fact that such a petition would be filed with the court. And I don't give a fuck about this guy's attorneys. To me, they're slime. They're just absolute pigs. Their boy committed murder. They know that. He's been found guilty, sentenced to life with no chance of parole. And now they're trying to save his life. Fuck you, you attorneys. What do you mean? To save his life after he ruined the lives of hundreds of people in the killing of 2 of our black brothers and sisters? You miserable goddamn lawyers. I don't care about the idea that everybody accused of a crime should have legal representation. This rotten fucker had legal representation. And now he is charged for state crimes. The district judge in this is scheduled to hear oral arguments this afternoon. And in an earlier filing, the stinking fucking lawyers who represent this pig argued that the pig should be exempt from the death penalty because he was 18 years old at the time of the shooting. And they say that's an age when the brain is still developing. Yeah, well, I don't have any argument with that. But when I don't care if you're 16, 18, or 108, you walk into a grocery store because you have plotted this out. And you know this grocery store is where black folk go, primarily black folk go to do their grocery shopping. So you systematically, consciously plan your murderous assault and then carry it out. And then you're going to come back and say, well, it's only 18. And his brain was still developing. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. The Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.